Alright, welcome guys. We're going to get started here in just a moment. Waiting on a couple people in Discord currently. Sending the link out, so bear with me as we always take a couple minutes to get things off the ground in here. And Maya already crashed. Well, that's fun. Oh, that's going to be a fun morning. Well, I guess we can introduce session 9, which would be our final low poly class. Today we're just going to go over the unique map for the gun and just some last little tidbits for getting this finalized. Let me open up my other windows and get everything set up again. And you'll notice, based on the Maya window currently, all of the gun pieces have been modeled and UV'd out. Everything is not aligned though currently, and that's fine. We're going to go over that in just a moment, so bear with me on that front. Sure, everyone is here that is here. I believe all my audio and stuff is working, so we're set to go. Oh, I missed a piece. How dare I? No, I didn't. Ha. Okay. There we go. So, as you guys know, we've been working on the Soldier 76 gun, copyright Blizzard from their series Overwatch. This is a model that we've taken from a high poly state to a low poly state now at this point, and now we are working on the unique UV map so we can texture it. So I got everything in place. However, the other side of it, obviously there needs to be two sides of it, but we're actually going to keep it in one side currently because we're going to optimize the UV space as much as possible. So turn this off so you can see the gun a little bit better. I'm actually going to duplicate this one back up because I want both of them. Let's turn on my high poly here. Go ahead and line this back up to its state up here. Alright. So we've got our low poly, and then we've got our high poly state here. Just go ahead and shrink that down. This is our high polygon gun that we built over the course of the first few sessions, and now we have our low polygon. So today we're going to go over the concept of creating a unique map. Now, I didn't 100% clean up the UVs on this thing. It's kind of a speed UV job, which is fine for the intents and purposes of what we're going to go over today. But you'll notice there's some pieces in there that have smaller shell sizes, which, when I refer to shell sizes, is the individual pieces of any one object's UV map. So, for this guy right here, if we hop over to our UV map, you can see there's a couple of pieces that are just out there, and you can always go ahead and start welding and sewing those in together with the other pieces. So if you've got small individual shells, it's best to get them sewn in to the rest of the object. And again, I'm just using these two tools up here, which this one is the move and sew, which you see when I use move and sew, it actually just throws the shell piece up there with it. And then this other one is just sew in place. Just to give you a better picture of it. Now, you're not always going to be able to get everything sewn together. Especially if it starts warping the UV space, which you don't want to do. You want to make sure that you're still retaining, while you're sewing, that checker pattern that we've got going on. So you can play around with it. The less shell sizes you have, the better. And I'll just leave it there at this point. Flip back to my Miocene here. Now, some of these things I don't want mirrored over, some of these things I do want mirrored over. And the reason for that is when I have this unique map, I want as few things in the 0 to 1 space as possible. And the principle behind this is, so if you're looking at this side of the gun, you know, I've got this big piece here, and I'm going to texture that, but you don't see the other side of it currently. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this 0 to 1 unique UV space, so that when we texture this and we mirror this side over after we create the 0 to 1 space, this other side is going to be a clone of this side in the texture map. So this saves us UV space, which in turn gives us some better resolution. Now in situations like having these multiple pieces down and we're trying to create the best possible squeeze we can, in situations like that I tend to leave 2 of them, so I can kind of alternate between the 2, or 3. I think for the sake of this I'm actually going to leave 3 of them there. Now all this stuff, like all these pieces, not that piece, you know, you've got stuff like this, where you're not going to see it until you see the other side. This is all stuff that I want to clone over. So I only have kind of half this texture map worked out. So when I actually do this, and I'll probably do it to this side too, actually. But let's go ahead and separate that out. So this one right now in my semi-built 0 to 1 space actually has the full cannon, or the full, you know. So I don't want that. So I'm going to take this side of it and I'm going to extract it. So you see all this chunk right here was just taken out from just taking the other side of that handle, which gives us a lot of UV space. So I'm going to keep going through and I'm going to start combining some of these elements, and I just need to check and make sure that all the pieces that I'm adding only have one UV channel. So combine these. If it does this, it's fine. Glitches every now and then. But it's still screwing up with my UV channel. I figured that out. these pieces. I'm going to combine these and start playing around with the UV space. So we've got all these individual little shells here, so everything is kind of off-size from each other. The easiest way to do that is just go in here to layout, but obviously that was a bad idea because some of my UVs are broken. So occasionally this happens, and I'm not really sure why this glitched for me, but it seemingly broke my UV space. I'll have to probably go in and fix that, which is probably going to take a little bit more time. And I'm just kind of going in and fixing some of these edges, which I was not prepared to do for today's lesson, but you know, stuff happens. If your UV piece is red like that, what you want to do is you want to flip it over so that it's actually blue. It means it's upside down, which you don't want. And notice that I'm avoiding the outer pieces of the edges. So obviously if you start doing that, you start sewing it like that, you're going to lose your shape. Go. Of course, if you see purple, that means there's two on top of each other and one of them's upside down, because blue plus red equals purple. I know, crazy, right? I believe these are our rings over there. No, what? What did I just do? That's new for me. There we go. No idea what I just did, don't ask me. I'm pretty sure I learned a new button in Maya. Give the 10-15 minutes. This is probably gonna take to run through these really quick. These were all set up last night, but apparently something wanted to break. Okay, all I'm doing is going through here and making sure all of my edges are sewn together, so that when I go to lay everything out, it retains these shell sizes, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. Good. That was still sewing. This is really fun. almost there. Should be all set to go now. So now, take all my EVs and go into layout. Now I don't have all those little individual chunks that decided to break apart an entry. But before I do that, now you'll notice, even though I laid them out, my pieces are still kind of on odd sizes. So I'm going to go ahead and select these, and I'm going to... Why is my tool not in here? I usually have a UV tool for this. There we go. So if you open up your layout UV options, I have a separate wonderful little tool for this that I actually use. I'm going to add a source here for you guys so you can see the window. This is my UV tool for layout UVs. Now, select prescale for the object, which will actually scale everything according to the object size, which now you can see in here my boxes have become more uniform, which is nice. That bothers me that you guys aren't boxes. I'm gonna fix that. Now your boxes. So you'll notice now that we're in our UV space for this set of things. UV layout tool is great in that it kind of gets you close to what you're doing, or close to what you would like. I mean, this isn't the greatest example of a UV space, but that's because we're going through it pretty quickly. Missed a little triangle there. And a little triangle there. Now typically what I'll start doing from this point, you'll notice that there's a lot of gaps of things, is I'll start going in and actually moving objects my own, squeezing things into where I can in the UV space. Now the reason I'm doing this is because every little bit of that UV space counts. And you'll start to see as you condense things, you're opening up space up here. Now typically what I'll start doing is measuring it one box at a time in my 0 to 1 space. So if I'm clearing out one box up here, then I would want to clear out one box over here. So the reason for that is so that I can then universally scale all of the pieces. Now I may not necessarily be able to do that as much as I would like, but it never hurts to sit there and try and condense UVs as much as you can. I will find a spot for you. Or I won't. I'm just gonna... did I fit it? Yeah. Ha! It's the little victories, guys. This is where a lot of years of Tetris comes in handy. If you were a Tetris fan as a child, this is generally where that's pretty helpful. See, it's super fun, guys. This is not at all one of the most tedious parts of creating a model. Not at all. That's sarcasm, by the way, just in case you were wondering. Keep you on your toes. I'm not going to take too much time with this because this is actually just a giant waste of time considering I have to condense it into the larger model, but I want you guys to get a point here in case we don't make it through the larger model. As to why exactly I'm doing what I'm doing here. So everything is close to within that box. You're kind of an outlier here. If you go up top here. Shrink this down just to fit that in there, because it's not a very significant UV piece. In fact, it's actually pretty insignificant. Okay, so I've condensed from what we had before. Now I get to go in here, center it up a little bit, and stretch it out to the region limits. Now, that seems like a lot of tediousness for scaling it a very minute amount. But when you're talking about a texture space, that minute amount is the difference between a lot of pixels. So taking the time and making sure that you fit as many pieces as you can in that 0 to 1 space is pretty essential. Now, we go back into our scene. You've got all these wonderful little pieces here. We're going to go back to our main body here. I'm actually going to... Nah, I won't mirror that over. I'll leave these guys over here. going to select these ones that I UV kind of last. I had some stray UVs in there. I'm just taking some of the pieces that are left in here. Now if you get that gray that happens, this is why. Now all of a sudden we've combined different objects and we've got two different UV channels here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy these stray UVs, drop down from polygons and copy UVs to UV set. And I'm going to copy them over to map 1, which is my primary. Which it still wants to be broken, so I'm actually going to break these apart. And I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of these guys' UV channel separately. By going in and deleting the current UV set. Now, you can't delete map 1. Map 1 is the constant one, so you're going to have to keep everything translated over to map 1. Now, when I combine these, since everything is in one map, we don't have an issue. So right now, everything is split up into just a couple of pieces. I'm going to go ahead and add a layer in here, and I'm just going to use this for reference. Combined logo. So I'm going to add that. If you double click it, you can edit the layer name, and I'm going to edit the wireframe too, so that when I add my selected object in there, it'll show up green. That way I actually know I've done layouts with that and it's already solid. Take this. Oh, I've got a stray guy over here. Let's turn off the image. Make sure I fix this guy really quick. So now just these pieces remain, right? This one's too difficult. Okay. So we've got this last piece set up, and we're just going to go ahead and lay these guys out. Pre-scaling off the object again. We're not going to mess with condensing them because we're going to combine it into the larger object. But I want to make sure that I have everything in this. We've got these guys too. We won't get to the final map today, but that's okay. We're going to at least get everything into one object. Fixing the EVs really quick. It did not like that. If you have a red overlay, you can actually just select the faces of the object entirely. Just move them over, flip them. Because what the layout tool does not like inverse UVs. Fun fact. Got those now. Back in our scene. Go ahead and add that in. And turn that invisible. Oh, we've actually got quite a few pieces. Oh, no wait, that's actually... Those are fine. These pieces. These are the last few little guys here. I'm going to hide this guy since he was the other side of that barrel, so we're actually not going to incorporate him. Let me fix these guys really quick. I know this is a relatively boring lesson. Welcome to the wonderful world of UVing. No one said it was very glamorous, and if they did, they were lying a lot. However, if you are a cosplay person like myself, learning this is actually really cool because a lot of cosplay prompts are built off what are called Pepakura files, which are 2D layouts of 3D objects, and they are printed out so that you can actually bend them from the 2D layout into a 3D object. Fun fact. You're welcome. Now I've got everything that we need in this gun, in this wonderful, ugly green layer. And I'm actually going to go ahead and combine all of it now. Make sure I'm not overwriting my UVs really quick. It's UV7F1. UV channel 1. So it's UV channel 1, so I'm going to combine these two. So I'm going to combine these. Nope, nope, don't do that. Got this, which is map 1. And you'll notice it's no longer green. That's because it's no longer in that layer. So this one has a UV channel 1, and this one has a map 1. So if I combine these two now, again, the off UV channels, so we're just going to go ahead and copy UVs to UV set, and we're going to copy them to map 1. And if you look at this, now we're back in business. Okay, so this, a lot of pieces to it. There's a lot of checker flying around all over the place over here. Now if we go back into our UV space, we have just this god-awful nightmare. And we're just going to go ahead and... Now there's a lot of very small shell-sized pieces in here. And that's all the little knick-knack details that are inside the gun. Typically when you have a game model like this, there aren't going to be a lot of those small pieces, just for the sake of, well, one, poly optimization, but two, texturing that little thing right there is next to impossible. You're going to get no resolution for it, right? It's fine. But again, we're going to go ahead and start condensing some of this crap. But it doesn't look like we have too much room in our UV space. But we're still going to dry. Again, this is a lot uglier of a UV space than I will typically allow myself. Again, it's mainly because we're going through some of this stuff pretty quickly. Kind of doing this on the fly with you guys. With the exception of I went in and finished the high poly and low poly with what time I could. Again, bear with me through this exciting time. I know, I'm sure it's just an absolute pleasure to watch me drag small little shell pieces everywhere. But this is modeling, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it won't be this egregious with UVs most of the time if you've done things correctly. Clearly, I have not taken the full amount of time to do things as I normally would. Entertainment. I hope you guys all watched the presidential debate last night. It was super enthralling. Actually, it was kind of a shit show, but you know, what did you expect? Honestly, the bar's not real high anymore. Yeah, silent. It does get really boring. But that's actually kind of a funny idea. I'll have to UV with the Tetris remix playing in the background at some point, just to see how that goes. Because it's literally like playing a boring Tetris. You don't get a score for doing things in here. Well, I guess I do kind of get a score. I get a paycheck. And paychecks are always nice. Yeah, that's always the hard part. Is Silent points out that in certain locations you're going to need a shine on edges or decals. While I am not planning decals on this per se, if there was an area in this that I wanted a specific decal for, I would actually size it up a little bit from its normal ratio so that it wasn't such a small piece, so that it actually has a little bit of a higher priority when I go to do the texturing. I really don't think I'm going to be able to condense this thing into scaling it, at least not very easily, or probably within the time frame we have. But I want you guys to get an idea of what it is that we're doing here before we get into making this thing into a texture. Because condensing UV spaces is actually very important. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. I'm venturing to say that this is one of those times where I am not going to win against my UV space. But, you know, sometimes you gotta try. Yeah, there's ways to play around with the UV layout tool that'll get you some better results. I actually have a modified UV editor that I use. Silence in here in Discord with me chatting about some of the ways to do this. Again, I have a custom feature that I really like. It's a mod that I have probably used since, I think I picked it up when I was working on Halo from one of my engineer friends at the time who was using it for some tiling pieces that we happened to be working on. But a lot of the people using Maya right now are using 2016, which I don't know if there is actually a current version for 2016 or not. I'd have to look into that. But I want you guys to understand the core basics of what it is that I'm doing before you get into, you know, messing with mods. Because mods are great. And they are very helpful to life, but understanding the basic elements of what we're trying to do here without using the tools is helpful as well. I might actually get just a little bit of space back. Yeah, knowing the hard way always makes you appreciate the easy way a lot. When I originally learned how to model, it was on Softimage XSI version 6. Which I'm you know, relatively sure Softimage is still technically alive, but it's owned by Autodesk now. It used to be owned by XSI, and then Autodesk bought it out, and there were no mods at the time. Hell, when I was learning, there wasn't really anything to do with normal maps either. There was pretty much just the core basics of modeling. So I feel like there's a nice level of respect there now, knowing how awful modeling used to be compared to how it is now. Make sure you're saving. I've been kind of lost in UVing. I've been forgetting to save, which I know would have bit me in the ass. There is an autosave feature in Maya. However, it chews up memory like crazy, and you have to be on top of it. Otherwise, you'll lose 90% of your memory space. I think I'm going to be undone by this one piece that's sitting over here just like taunting me. It's great. I will finish getting that 0 1 space all set up after this pod, or I guess I can't really call it a podcast, YouTube video stream thingy. Hi, I am Anthony and I know what I'm doing. That's a lie. Okay, so just to show you guys, this is what we're working on. And we've got a nice even flow with all these boxes right now, to the point where if you look at this thing, you can barely discern the shapes that are happening across it, which is perfect. It means everything has a nice aspect ratio in the UV space. Everything is looking pretty clean. The last thing you'll need to go over in here is making sure that your normals are all bent that need to be bent, smoothed out that need to be smoothed out, throughout all these, so that our next class, we're going to go ahead and go into baking and discussing what a normal map is. So I'll make sure I'll clean up all these normals that are still hardened, and we get a nice bake model ready. And there you have it. That's your EV space. Again, I'll squeeze these things in. It just requires a little bit more time and finessing, so that I can scale them all outward again, like I showed you guys with the other pieces, which gives me back a little bit of resolution in there. So thank you guys. Look forward to showing you guys what normal maps are. Bye.